we could do a discussion about what am I good at, and that, and I could get paid for what I'm good at, and the world might need it. And people mistake what they love. Like when you to answer what do you love, it's just like what do I enjoy and what do I love are really different things. Like people can get passionate about almost anything, and they do. Like my local sports team, and unless your life mission is to be involved in sports, loving your sports team may not have much to do with why you're here on the planet, right? So if we're in this conversation about, so right there, what do I like? People say, well, I love so many things. How do I decide? Well, when it actually comes down to it, you don't love many things. You love a few things, maybe. And then that conversation we have about, well, if you say you love 20 things, commit to an hour a week for every one of those 20 things and see how long you still say I love all of those 20 things. As you find reasons not to do many of those things, you might realize, no, you actually don't love them. So then when you come back to this four things, what do you love? What are you good at? Um, what does the world need and what you could get paid for? You can answer all of those things and still have nothing to do with while you're on the planet. And then if we say your life mission, there's a why, what, and who. The what and who, there's an inner life mission and an outer life mission. So if you say, in an hour, I can get clear about my life mission, you might be answering those four categories of what do I love, what am I good at, what does the world need, and what can I get paid for? And that could answer a outer life mission question, might not have very much to say about the who you are meant to become, who you'd have to be to step into those, and who you'd become by doing those. So you could answer those four questions, and that might create a who that isn't A, having anything to do with why you're on the planet, and it will not possibly satisfy your inner self. So, and then there was a conversation we had earlier about death of a parent, death of a family member, being laid off, having to move across the country or across the world, your job category going away, the financial crash, the COVID, like all of those things are major life transitions. And when you get in the middle of that, you're being transformed in some way. You have to if you're going to survive that. And on the other side of that, you're not the same person. So then it means who you are has become someone else. And if we say the inner and the outer life mission, the outer life mission is what you're called to do in the world, and the inner life mission is who you are. And when who you are changes, it changes what you do. And when what you do changes, it changes who you are. So when COVID happened and millions of people got laid off, or the great resignation and millions of people changed their job, or in the last 3 months of this year, more people got laid off than COVID, what you do radically transformed for many people. So then what you decided in an hour was your life mission now became different. So A, it's not one and done. When a major life transition happens, what you do changes, which means who you are has to change. So then what was it about what you said you knew what you were already doing that was your life mission that you got to in a quick conversation with someone? And these changes are radically happening in a radical way consistently now. So that means that conversation is an ongoing conversation. So your quick conversation about I know who I am, I know why I'm here, and I know what that causes me to do, and I know that who that causes me to be is a moment by moment, certainly week by week conversation about what I'm called, who I'm called to be in the world, and what that causes me to do is ongoingly morphing and changing. So the conversation about what my life mission is and why, if your what and why is changing, if your what and who is changing, then your why at least needs to be looked at from a different position. So that's a quick answer. I know I could go even deeper into that, but it's just like, it's such a unfortunately shallow conversation to say you can get to the fullness of why you're on the planet and what that calls you to do this week, which is probably different than it was, certainly different than it was in, has to be different than what it was in 2018 and 2019 and 2008 in the financial crisis and 2024 and all the radical transformations that have happened in the world in just the first 3 months of 25. And then you say, well, I can get to that. And now I'm already doing what I'm already doing, and I'm doing it every day. I'm doing it day to day. If that's true, it's a very shallow definition of this deeper inquiry we're talking about. And that's deeply problematic. And it will get you to that place where at some point in your future, even though you're doing well, if you are, because even that's pretty shaky these days. You know, that quote that you get to the top of the ladder and you find out it was leaning against the wrong wall, or there's that, is that all there is? If you're, I already am doing it, and I know what it is, no problem, I don't need that. Is that with a world that's transforming that quickly, that radically? Your chances of finding that you got to the top of whatever it was and that was leaning against the wrong wall and you're saying to yourself, is that all it is? And you got to you got it and then it's not working. What are you going to do then with your shallow conversation of I already had it and I can get to it in an hour and I'm already doing it? And is that a job title? Like I'm already doing it means it's your job title and you decided that's why you're on the planet? And why you're on the planet, by the way, has more to do than your what you do every day for your quote unquote job. Your life mission is your life mission with your the why, what, and who for your family, the why, what, and who for your community, the why, what, and who for your culture, your why, what, and who for the one that sent you, however you see that. Um, there are so many levels, and then there's the lines of intelligence you are called to cultivate. And that simple answer that is, what am I good at? What could I get paid for? Um, what does the world need? And maybe what you love, but even what you love is not like from that shallow place, it's not going to be satisfying for which particular lines of intelligence are you called to elevate? And to what degree have you elevated them? And do you have an ongoing awareness of how elevated each of those lines of intelligence are and which ones are called for which of those aspects of your life mission are wanting to be presenced? And you can see that all of this is a very complex, hopefully a conversation you want to integrate from all of those different levels for that you get to a level of mastery about that. You know, it said that Pablo Casals in his 90s got every day and did 3 hours of scales, even though he was a preeminent cellist in the world for decades. And still every morning he got up and put 3 hours of effort into becoming more skillful at this thing he said it was his life mission. So in that, I got to it in an hour and I already do it and I do it every day and it's one and done and I've got it, no problem. If Pablo Casals had said that, he wouldn't get up every morning after decades of his life as a preeminent cellist. It's like, I got it. I don't need to practice. What would have happened to his skill? He said, if I don't do that every day, I know it. If I don't do it for 2 days, my manager knows it. If I don't do it for 3 days, the public knows it. So you thinking you got it, no problem. Don't need to focus on that. Don't need to practice it. Don't need to practice the skill of knowing what that is. If you don't do that for one day, you will know it. If you don't do it for 2 days, your colleagues might know it. If you don't do it for 3 days, it'll show up in your work, the quality of your work. So you can see that the conversation about your why, what, and who, and how to do that skillfully, artfully, beautifully, and hopefully sacredly calls for you to actually engage with a certain level of sincerity and skill and seriousness and not be so cavalier about the one and done. Oh, I had a conversation once upon a time. And I'm pretty sure I do it. I'm pretty sure I know it and I'm doing it and I'm doing it every day. And it's much deeper than your job title. And it has to do with more than just what your job is. And it also has to do with what's the consequence of what you're doing. And how is that showing up in the world? And are you present to that? And that's part of that conversation. And if you're really being the who you were meant to be, and that's changing because the world is changing, it means what you're called to do will change. And your why would say, then what's the consequence of this everyday work you're doing? Is that making the world a better place? You know, to quote Richard Bowles, your life mission is to remember the one that sent you and to make the world a better place. And if the consequence of what you're doing every day isn't something you would be proud to share with the one who sent you, however you see that, and it isn't making the world a better place, I would question you thinking you got it. Because if what you're doing every day isn't making the world a better place, then you wouldn't be totally comfortable standing before the one that sent you to talk about the consequence of what you're doing every day. You might question that.